Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Mikey Bustos bringing you another video. This video is another motivational video. Haven't released one of them for a while. The last motivational video was about the law of attraction. Now, it's probably one of the biggest things that has helped me, really apply myself in my life and kind of help me achieve and create a magnificent, I guess, existence for myself. I can truly say that I am living out my dreams. It seems to keep getting better. Now, one of the principles I wanted to share with you guys regarding the law of attraction is about noticing things, and how when you focus on things, they expand. So for those of you who are confused about what the law of attraction is, be sure to click on this video, which will recap exactly what the law of attraction is, from my perspective, and how I've learned it. But anyway, so here we go. Um, I wanted to talk about how focusing on something expands. Now, one of the things I've noticed throughout this whole journey about, I guess studying the law of attraction and applying it in my life, is that when I notice things, like even small things, um, they tend to just expand, and I continue to attract more of what I'm noticing. And it applies to everything, really. With past relationships that I've had, for example, I would notice, little things. I'm like, I'm not sure I like the way that person fixes their bed, you know. And I'll notice that, and every time that will continue to come up, and it'll annoy me more and more. And not only that, I'll start to notice other things that I don't really like about the person, and it'll eventually just kind of blow up, and then we end up just like breaking up, because she just would get on my nerves, just everything. Um, Another example is with finances. For those of you who are in debt, you might notice that every time you think about your debt, it really doesn't help your situation. You continue to be in debt, and you know you continue to attract more debt, and your situation never resolves. Now, the law of attraction basically says what you focus on expands, and you attract more of. So once you know this, those who understand the law of attraction know that it's very important to monitor, I guess, kind of screen and consciously choose what you're focusing on and what you're noticing in your life. So if you want to have more money, stop noticing evidence of the fact that you're poor. Focus on and notice evidence of you attracting money and making money. Whether it be gifts, people giving you gifts, or you winning free stuff, or when your paycheck comes in, be like, yay, this is great. I'm making money, and focus on that, um, and not so much on you not making money. People would say, but Mikey, like, how do I do that? I'm broke. I'm struggling week after week. How do I not notice that I'm lacking money? Yeah, I understand. Believe me, I understand. And But what I have to say is, until you stop focusing on your debt, you're not going to change. Like, the situation will not change. By simple law of attraction, you'll continue to attract that debt and that state. And this applies not only to money; it also applies to love. For those who notice that, they're not attracting love and romance. Well, until you start noticing evidence of you attracting love and romance, no matter how small it is, whether like you notice somebody looking at you and smiling, or things like that, things won't change. So whether it be for money, or whether it be for love, or even like your self-esteem and appearance, those who look in the mirror and say, oh, i I look crappy today, and they're completely ignoring the fact that they're healthy, they look great, Their hair is nice, or that sort of thing. Um, it's these, until you change your state of focus, you will not attract that which you want. So that's the basic line of it. I have friends who I've taught this principle to, and I had a friend, for example, that had a problem with her weight, and every time she looked in the mirror, she noticed how she was overweight, and her whole life revolved around this. And then when I got her to change her point of attraction and her point of focus to really notice it, like evidence of her being beautiful and her losing weight. Like she would notice one day, oh, I don't look so overweight today. Just little things. My face doesn't look as plump. Eventually, she noticed other people, kind of like being attracted to her, and her completely just starting to gain admirers and all of that. It's really amazing how quickly things can change once you change your point of focus. Okay, so let's recap. What do we do? One, you change your state of focus and focus on things and notice things in your life that you want to attract. Two, stop noticing things that you don't want to attract and that you want to get rid of. Try your best, whether it be love, money, romance, career. So those are the two things. Stop focusing on what you don't want and start focusing on what you want, and notice those things. Notice the little baby steps. Now, there's another thing I wanted to say about baby steps. Um, Louise L. Hay is a teacher of, the law of attraction, and she's a great inspirational and motivational speaker. And in one of the audiobooks that I listened of hers, she brought forth the analogy of the tomato plant. When you plant a tomato, it begins as a seed, and the end result you want is a tomato, the fruits. So you plant the seed into the ground, and then you water it, you cultivate it, and eventually a little tiny green sprout comes out of the seed. Now, when that happens, you don't say, oh, that's not a tomato plant. That's not what I want in the end. That's not a fruit. And you don't stomp on it and like kill it. You don't do that. You actually say, hey, wow, it's coming. This is great. Like my tomatoes are coming. And eventually, with enough cultivating, the little tiny tomato sprout becomes this huge bush of tomatoes. And so, in the same way, if you're trying to attract something, whether it be the perfect love or the perfect career or perfect finances, perfect body, perfect health, anything really, uh, you always have to notice the little tiny baby steps and increments. You have to appreciate that. Otherwise, you're not going to get to your end goal. If you keep noticing that you don't have the final tomatoes, law of attraction won't let your plant grow. Like the soil in that analogy, and the water and the cultivating and all of that, that's your mind. That's your mind helping your I guess your intentions and your dreams come true. And that's something to think about. And relating to baby steps, I found that you can't midgetize and downplay your baby steps. Every single baby step counts. If you're trying to attract money, every little penny counts. If you find a penny on the street, the universe is giving you money. Pick it up. You know what I mean? If people are giving you gifts, that is like goodness coming to you. Accept it. Those are little baby steps. Don't say, oh, that's not $1 million, please, and totally just brush it off. Don't do that, because that's kind of like rejecting what the universe is giving you, and what law of attraction is giving you. In relation to that, accepting the little baby steps and acknowledging and appreciating the little baby steps. For me, in my career, I remember whenever I would get hired for, like a small time gig or like a bar, um, I used to notice like that, oh, this is such a small gig, this is not exactly what I want. What I want is to perform at the Grammys. But right now, this small gig is just a small gig, and it's really nothing. But see, that was my mind kind of sabotaging and rejecting what the universe was giving me, what I was attracting to myself. It really, looking back now, I no longer think that way. Any small gig I get, any small interview I get, every fan mail I get, I appreciate it because I've attracted it. It's all little increments. No matter how small a success is, you should cherish it and focus on it and notice it, because it will just completely expand and grow into a huge bush of goodness for you. So I really hope you guys understood what I've delivered here in this video. I've tried my best to explain it. When I talk about the law of attraction, I'm so excited about it, and I have such conviction in it, and I believe that it's real, that my mind tends to just kind of wander and speak with scattered thoughts. But I hope you guys understood what I said in this video, and if you haven't, continue to watch it over and over again so you can soak in the principles of what I've said here. Thank you guys so much, and keep smiling. Notice the good things in life. Love you. Bye.